Oh, Griffin making sure we don't get recommended by the algorithm. That's the CJA promise.
In point starts now. Final Cut in point starts now. Kamala needs to say the N-word, guys. Kamala needs to say the N-word. If she's gonna win, that's what she needs to do.
Just to prove to the people.
Is my K-Hive pin showing up on screen here?
Oh, there we go.
Who said that? I think Jesus maybe, but I think it was one of the Republicans who was like, Kamala needs to say the N-word.
Yeah, Griffin's been sitting on that K-Hive pin since 2020. It's just the first time he's been proud enough to wear it in public.
Yeah, this is the original Medicare for All warrior, the one that everyone's trusting now, the one that everyone's clapping like seals for. And you know what, folks, it's fun to be an aquarium animal. Okay, sometimes it's fun to be the whales at SeaWorld. They had some fun. Yeah, they're trapped in little enclosures, but they had some fun, and they got to drown a few of the trainers.
True. You know, I would rather be one of the drowned trainers than the lady who famously worked at SeaWorld and had to jerk off the dolphin. You know, it's like she realized that if she jerked off the dolphin, she would have a lot more success getting it to perform tricks for her.
Because all the dolphins would show up more to her, right?
Yeah, they were like, oh, wow, we really like this lady. And, you know, the dolphins, they're mammals, I think, right? Or no, the dolphins aren't mammals. It's whales that are mammals. Dolphins are something else, but they're smart.
Dolphins, yeah.
I sound like Joe Rogan right now.
Apparently, they have the same intelligence as humans. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, I also heard that they have an inclination to rape,
to assault, to do SA.
That's how people know.
Minors.
That's how people know. Yeah. Anyway, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another live.
The Dolphins love Israel. Okay, the Dolphins are huge fans of Israel right now.
Yep, and JD Vance is a huge fan of dolphins. We're going to be talking a bit about JD.
It all comes full
later
circle,
in the show. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for all the fish. Am I right, guys?
More fish. Nothing but fish. Ghostface.
But we wanted to start with something really important, something to warm everyone up today. There's a lot of stories, of course. You know, it's the news. Oh, we're getting notifications down here. Sick. A lot of stuff to get through. Let's warm up with the most important thing. The rallies are fake, folks. Breaking news. Don't believe your lying eyes. Artificial intelligence has created the Kamala momentum, and brave truth tellers on the internet have uncovered the fact that these crowds are fake. They're AI. Have y'all seen this?
It's true. They're very fake crowds. None of the crowds are real. I have real crowds, big rallies, tremendous rallies. The people come when I come. The people come. I say I'm going to be there, and then the people go there, and that's when I come there, and it's marvelous. Folks, it's tremendous. Kamala's rallies, fake, sad, depressing, artificial intelligence, deep state rallies, very sad, folks, inauthentic, very bad.
Kamala's rallies, they think that the fans have 6 fingers. My fans also have 6 fingers, but they're real. It's a real 6-fingered man at mine. He's not even doing rallies.
Let's check this out, guys, because some right-wingers started spreading this conspiracy online that the recent Kamala rally, I think in Atlanta at the airplane hangar, right? A lot of people were saying that these massive crowds actually might not have been real, might have been AI generated. Technology is getting out of control, you guys. You don't know what to believe these days. And now Donald Trump himself, it's not just crazy fans of his, MAGA people. No, this is actually straight from Truth Social, guys. Yeah. Look, we caught her with a fake crowd. There was nobody there. So he's not even saying that they enlarged the crowd. He's saying that there was no crowd. That thanks to the technology. By the way, this could have been photoshopped. Like Photoshop existed before artificial intelligence and like DALL-E and all these image generators. You could have technically done this. And like, you know, people said the moon landing was fake, for fuck's sake, back in 1969 and shit. Like that was way before anything like AI. That was even before Photoshop, and they said it could be pulled off. So I don't really think. I mean, and to be fair to Trump, I guess he doesn't say AI here, but either way, yeah, quite an accusation. What do you guys make of this? Do you think the whole Kamala momentum is a psyop?
I don't think I know. I know it. You look at it, and how did the people talk? They say, we don't like Kamala. They say, who's Kamala? Kamala, she's very unpopular, tremendously unpopular. Who's very popular? I'm very popular. I draw lots of crowds. It was the most popular president, tremendously popular president. What do you make of it? It's hysterics, folks.
It's a hoax. Excuse me. I'm using AI, okay? I'm speaking, and I'm photoshopping my crowds. So, the thing is, there's a lot of hay over this one photo where they've zoomed in on the plane, and I don't know if that's on that thread right there or in that image, but they zoom in on the plane reflection. This is reflection gate.
Let me try to find it.
Where they say, because if you look at the reflection of the plane, there's no people in the shot. To which obviously the obvious answer is, yeah, all the people at those rallies were there. They're just vampires. Those are vampire rules. They don't appear in mirrors. Okay.
That would explain why they're Democrats. Very cold-blooded.
They're vampires. Yeah.
All right, so here's the original one, I think. This is the conspiracy theorist just pointing out some things here from an AI expert. This guy's an expert straight from Silicon Valley, guys. If you zoom in on the engine of the plane, you will not see the reflection of the crowd. That is because this is lazy work. Any person doing AI knows to add the reflection.
Yeah, if anything I know about people who do AI, it's that they're hardworking. they're the hardest, most vigilant craftsmen.
So here it says, if you zoom in on the engine of the plane, you will not see the reflection of the crowd. So wait, what? No reflection?
Vampires. Wow. It's 100% vampires. Blue MAGA, they drink blood.
Damn.
They drink blood.
Damn.
They're we thought they were seals, but they're vampires.
That's why they tried to plant it on Peter Thiel. They said Peter Thiel is drinking the blood, but really, you know, every accusation is just a confession, folks.
And Peter Thiel is the blood drinkers. He's a white hat vampire.
Yeah, and here's the libtard coming in to explain.
Yeah, here we go.
The phenomena. No, the pics of the huge crowd gathering in Michigan aren't AI.
Oh,
the reason you don't see them in the reflection is because the plane is cylindrical, convex, not flat. Body shows the ground.
They're coming up with new shapes.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, all of a sudden there's something called a cylinder.
Yeah, and of course there is video of the incident too, which kind of pokes a hole in the whole theory. I mean, unless they're saying the videos are AI generated too, which we're not far off from AI being able to produce, indistinguishable.
Tom Cruise as a dishwasher, I remember it.
Yeah. So, obviously this is crazy talk, but Trump, I can't believe Trump jumped on this one. That's the crazy thing, and I think he really believes it too. Like, I think, either he actually believes it, he's that crazy, or he just at this point doesn't care and will just try to use anything. He's just so desperate that anything that even looks like a potential, talking point is good enough.
I think it's a cheap effort to delude himself. He desperately wants it to not be so. I mean, this is a guy that hates public humiliation, right? This is a guy who famously, he can't stand to be mocked. He can't stand to be humiliated. And he's about to face a royal ass whooping. We saw how he responded to losing to Joe Biden in 2020. He denied the results of the election. He came after people in Georgia, Arizona, deep within the Republican Party, his own vice president. He was like, find the votes. You know what I mean? So he's willing to lie to himself. He's willing to lie to everyone around him.
He's still mad at Brian Kemp. He's like rage tweeting Brian Kemp, being like, Brian, how could you
called him out at the
this?
Atlanta rally. He called him out at the Atlanta rally. It was crazy.
Yeah, this definitely does prove. This does prove what I was saying on a previous episode. One of the most annoying things about AI, in my opinion, is the fact that now going forward, everyone is going to question everything.
And it's going to work on like 20% of people, right?
Yeah. I remember people, like when I was reacting live to the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, and I'm vulnerable to conspiracy theories. I've always dabbled in them myself. But even, as this was happening live on like C-SPAN, people are like, it's AI generated. I'm like, oh my God, can we not do this as like a freaking society every time anything happens? It's so annoying.
Yeah, I agree with you. Cause like now, obviously this one is clearly real. There's like lots of videos of the event or whatever, but it did have me thinking that like, we are losing that shared reality where I think there will start to be events with like AI people filling up stands and stuff like that. Like I do think
it'll be like Lord of the Rings. It'll be the first time they have they took 3 horses and they made them 500 horses for the Lord of the Rings. They need to get Peter Jackson at the Trump rallies. He has vision. You know what I mean? He worked with thin resources to create one of the greatest trilogies of all time. And let's talk about laurels, everybody. Best Picture. How many nominations did Return of the King get, Gavin? You know it. I know it. A lot.
Shit
You
tons.
you see a bunch of like the Uruk-hai at the Trump rally, and they're like, "Well, that's AI." It's like, no,
Indistinguishable
those
from his
guys are
base.
real. Those guys are real. Like we AI'd the humans.
All the extras from the Trailer Park Boys descend, hoping to have their likeness used for $50 in the future AI department for Trump rallies. You know, it's just they just put out a bunch of cans of Keystone Light, and a bunch of rednecks descend like they're Easter egg hunting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sad. Like I thought we were going to talk about Kamala first, but we're talking about how much Trump sucks. So I think we should just keep going on that tangent because, like, holy shit, man! Like it is sad. It's like there is like for like any like stand up, a good stand up comic. Like there's a time where you just need to retire. Like you're not going to be doing a great special when you're in your 70s and your 80s. You know, like he had one last good special in him, and I guess that was 2016.
Many people are saying that about Dave Chappelle. You know, it's like, hey man, hang the mic up. You know what I mean? How long's it been since Killing Them Softly? You know what I mean? It's like, boy, you're running the wells run dry, my man. Why don't we do a sequel to a movie you were in the 90s or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that an interesting, speaking of conspiracy theories, another thing that recently happened that some people certainly, thought was weird, but I don't think is maybe quite getting the attention it deserves is this hack of Donald Trump and his campaign, which he's blaming on Iran. And I think this actually represents, another stage of what we're talking about, this total implosion of the Trump campaign and the increasing cope, because a lot of people, I'm not sure to what extent that any of this is legitimate, but some people are saying that this hack was actually an inside job, and
yes, I love this.
Same.
I
And if you guys
I got some loose change for this one. Okay.
if you read the articles about the hack, apparently one of the things that was leaked was like this dossier, this like vetting dossier on JD Vance, the kind of stuff that, the dirt, the Oppo research that you have to dig up so you're prepared for when everyone comes out of the woodwork. Apparently they didn't read through that manual because, this guy has so much crazy shit on him, you wouldn't believe it. But either way, some people
they don't fact check anyone anymore. They don't run any test. That doesn't even seem like a job that exists anymore.
After the Access Hollywood tape, Trump, I mean, who would have thought, oh, you know what, guys, it's going to be this thing that really sticks to you. The reality is that his political allure has worn off completely. And so now they're vulnerable to things that they should have been vulnerable to all along. There should have been no way for Donald Trump to walk through fire like he did in 2016. It should have been mathematically impossible. However, it was a perfect storm for him to do that. Now he's trying to walk through fire. He's trying to make up lies. He's trying to defend himself against, things he's guilty of.
But on the vetting point, well, JD is making Trump look normal as fuck. Like JD is such an albatross around Trump. Trump has even said, like, in a few times, he's like, people are like, they're calling your campaign weird. And Trump's like, they're not calling me weird. They're calling JD weird. That's not me. And which is just incredible. And it's like a sign that, he does want to get rid of this guy. And then, yes, this hack happens and they're like, well, they got a bunch of emails, but they also got JD Vance's dossier. And which is like, I feel like for already like a slightly like regular politician, what we're seeing leak out in the news every day about JD would be the dossier. But if this shit isn't the dossier, then JD 100% has sent his penis to many people. There are photos of his penis that we are going to see very soon, I think.
Yeah. And maybe not even just JD Vance. That's the funny thing, because if you look at this post here from Trump, this is another one of his Truth Social things. A lot of people found this to be a little bit out of character for Donald Trump, right? He says, we're just informed by Microsoft that many of our websites were hacked by the Iranian government. Never a nice thing to do. Some people were saying that it almost kind of feels like he's setting the stage in anticipation of something dropping, not just on JD Vance, but maybe even on himself, maybe a bombshell allegations. And he wants to maybe use this whole hack thing to cook up an excuse to try to, like cloud over everything.
Are you telling me that the PP tape is back on the table? Is it back in play, everybody? Is the
JD the whole time?
Yeah, but he wants to use this to, cast doubt on anything that might come out, because it goes, it's Iranian misinformation, kind of like with the Hunter laptop thing, how a lot of people were immediately saying, this is just Russian disinformation. It was hacked. It's not real. Who knows, right? It could be as innocent as a genuine hack that Donald Trump was posting about just because he had nothing better to do than try to make himself sound like a victim of another foreign government or something, some collusion potentially. Who knows? It might be as innocent as that. But Trump is increasingly desperate, guys. He's a wounded antelope. The assassination attempt didn't move the needle at all, and he desperately needs something. So, who knows what to make of
Bro,
this?
I think it's about to get way more chaotic from here on out, guys. I think he's about to start grasping at straws. I think that anything is on the table. I don't think it's so much that we're going to get new oppo on Trump. They've had 8 years to find
there's
any
nothing
dirt
left of
that you're going to find on Donald Trump. What it is,
and it
is
wouldn't matter anyways.
Right. What else is there to find? Unless there is a legitimate functional P tape, which I don't even think would really matter.
A functional one. Is that what you
Like-
said? Functional?
Well-
watching a P tape being like, this is
Was it
dysfunctional.
in the P tape? Was it him pissing on someone, or
He was getting pissed on. Listen,
apparently
when
him
you're a
golden
rich person,
shower.
no. You have to, Gavin. You have to understand the elites. The elites don't piss on people. They do that in every other part of their lives.
That's a lie.
but
Chuck
in
Berry pissed
private,
on the lady. I
they
saw it
get-
on Pornhub.
Yeah, he was broke. He was broke.
Yeah, I'd kiss you, baby, but you got my piss all over me.
So he was getting pissed on.
He was alleged he was getting pissed on. That's what rich people do in private. They get pissed on in private. They piss on people publicly. Yeah, I mean, the swag isn't there, and I have to say,
No riz.
we were already like Rizless with this campaign because it was all grievance based. Like, he met with donors this week, and he met with like Bill Ackman, and Bill Ackman then was like really bummed afterwards because they're like, what are you gonna do to like drive some policies? And he's like, we got to stop the steal. And they're like, no, like, oh,
It's like having a meeting with Kanye West. You know what I mean? They're like, Kanye, we're here to discuss your new shoe deal. And he's like, I want to design it like Adolf Hitler.
Bro, speaking of Kanye, we didn't even ever talk about the nitrous
dental-
oxide
the
allegation.
dental
yeah,
stuff?
apparently
I
he's
thought
been
that my dentist was doing that for my benefit, but now I'm finding out this is not
a
good.
nefarious dentist who may or may not be Jewish. I'm hearing apparently
another Jewish doctor.
Yeah.
I mean,
Go figure. In New York City?
he lives in. Well,
Anyway.
he used to be in the Southern California area, but now he lives like out in Montana or something. I mean, I don't know where he lives now. He probably like he's always
Griffin's keeping
traveling.
tabs on him. He's a loyal yeet. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He's yay 5 ever.
But what I will say is like, so it's been shitty from the get-go. It's all been grievance based, but now he got shot in the head. And I do think
Lobe.
that in the lobe. Okay, he got shot in the lobe.
Come on.
His ear
Not
got
the frontal lobe, by
his
the
ear
way. The
got
earlobe.
circumcised. He had a
It
circumcision
was
to
going
the
to be
ear.
the frontal lobe. It was the earlobe.
Yeah, we got to get on the Fallout VAT system. They targeted the wrong lobe. It was supposed to be the front. So the thing is, though, I do think he actually is having like performer's anxiety for like one of the first times in his life.
He's got the
I think-
yips.
Like, I
He's
see
like
him.
Charles Barkley taking a golf swing.
I watched his most recent rally, and he seemed really stressed and really panicked. And I could almost tell, and I was like, this might be reading into it too much, but he only lived because he turned his head. And I see him like turning his head a lot now, like when he's talking, like he's kind of just like a bobblehead, just kind of like like, and it's like, I mean, I don't blame him, but I do think it's rattled him. I do think the Aiden Ross Cybertruck with him being assassinated painted on it was also like a moment for him. Did you see this?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, a humiliating low for the guy. It's kind of like when, you're Rob Lowe in between the sex tape scandal and getting cast in the West Wing, and you're just signing autographs because you were in St. Elmo's fire. You know what I mean? You're just kind of going out and you're trying to be one of the guys until you've been resurrected by society. This is him before the comeback tour. This is him at rock bottom.
This is also another funny moment from the rally. I think we can play it real quick. Donald Trump lamenting what is undeniably one of the worst political decisions in modern history, one that he made by agreeing to debate Joe Biden at such an early stage. Let's take a quick look. This is almost have to feel bad. So true. And you can see the regret in his eyes. You can hear it in his voice.
We're going to get Joe Biden out of the White House. What's he doing now? Greg, what's he doing?
He's dying.
You know, he wanted to debate. If we didn't have a debate, he'd still be there. Can you imagine if we didn't have a debate? Why the hell did I
Cue the
debate him?
Naruto sad music.
Why the
Gotta
hell
hear that
did
one more
I?
time.
Debate him. Why the
he's
hell did
throwing junk out there, man. And the base isn't even with him. You have to imagine the people who are in Bozeman, Montana at a Donald Trump rally. Those are the diehards, man. Those are the last of the real believers in the MAGA movement. I mean, you're out in the middle of nowhere, Montana, right? You've got Fox News cranking all day if you're not watching Newsmax or something crazier than that.
Yeah. I was watching the rally too, and like there's a bunch of like Zoomer dudes in the background behind Trump. You know what it gave me the vibe of? Remember a couple of years ago when that like the Rise of Gru, the Despicable Me movie came out? And, like, there was that...
do I remember? Of course I do.
The dudes going in suits to the movie theater.
Yeah, there was like this trend of like TikTokers just kind of ironically like showing up in suits to that. I got the vibe that a lot of these dudes behind Trump, a lot of the Zoomers and stuff specifically, like they don't even give a shit anymore. Like they don't actually give a fuck about any of the actual political, movement that Trump represents. They don't care about the policy at all. And they really are just kind of there for like the meme and because it's like kind of funny. And I know that's always been the appeal to some extent, but I do feel like in 2016 there was an actual political movement intertwined with the vibe, and now to the extent there even is a vibe, it's just putrid and
it's Aiden Ross listeners.
Yeah, it's Aiden Ross listeners, and obviously it's not like they were just a bunch of Zoomers at that rally. Most of it was like boomers and stuff like that. But I don't know. It definitely the vibe is increasingly putrid.
They all go there to be entertained, right? That's his whole deal. The Maximus, pick up the fucking sword. Are you not entertained? That was the whole point of going to Donald Trump. And it was like, are you willing to be the contrarian? Are you willing to stick your middle finger in a liberal's face? Are you ready to trigger and outrage the public? That was what he was selling to people. But when you showed up, right, the juice was worth the squeeze. He would make you laugh. He would make you cheer. He would put on a performance. Now you show up and you feel like you got robbed. You feel like you got screwed. Like,
and also the policy, to what extent there are policies, they're just not that like exciting anymore. Trump's all pissed right now. You guys might have seen the Republicans and Trump, Charlie Kirk, they're livid over the fact that Kamala stole, quote unquote, his no taxes on tips policy. And like that is a good, I think that is probably a winner as far as policy goes. Zach can talk about that in a second. But like, I mean, if that's your signature policy, like that's not that edgy. That's not that's no build a wall, he's so protective of it. Like it is now. It's like, that's really what you're running on. Like, it's not that transformational. It's not that edgy. I know it's a good policy from your perspective, Zach, but
from my perspective, from working people's perspective, not from Gavin's perspective, apparently, because no, I think it's a universal winner. The thing is that it's like, even going back to Reservoir Dogs, they talked about how it's fucked up that people, that the government taxes your tips, right? Even in the whole case that they were making about how you shouldn't tip, they were like, oh yeah, you want me to, talk about how it's fucked up, the government won't, or taxes their tips, you put it to your vote, I'll vote for it. But what I ain't gonna do is play ball.
I'm hearing it's a sham. I'm hearing it's a sham.
It's a sham.
Millionaires to write off more taxes,
dude. But it also puts more money in working class people's pockets. And if you're gonna let the enemy be the perfect, no, dude, you shouldn't actually raise taxes or raise the minimum wage to $18 because it's gonna help billionaires because they're gonna let the billionaires write it off in their taxes. I'm like, bro, let's give the people a fucking raise. You know what I mean? And when I come into this podcast with a Rolex on, you know what I mean, and a brand new Mercedes, because I'm making all my tips tax free, you guys will be like, hell yeah, dude, he's left the working class and now he's PMC, he's air conditioned lefty now. No, the reality is that
Zach is about to get the worst veneers of all time.
Bro, I'm yeah, no, I hear you. You could do it in a different way, but that's not on the table right now. And if you're going to tell a bunch of people who are taxed out the asshole, guys, let me tell you how much you pay, what percentage of your wage you pay as a tipped employee. Griffin can sign off on this too. He worked in the service industry for a long time. I get paid $9 an hour from my actual job. Right? That's what they pay me when I go to work and punch in and punch out when I'm bartending. And I never see any of that $9 an hour. I know because I'll get my little pay stub and it'll be like, how much were you tipped? And it will be like $80 more than my tip pool because everything else goes to paying taxes. And it's like, dude, that's a huge amount of your income to be paying taxes for. And it basically already allows your employer to screw you over. They're paying you nothing, all of your wages paid by the public, and then they can write it off anyway.
I
So
feel you,
we're
bro.
basically further punishing these people.
My point though is just like, you know, Trump in 2016, he had policies that, although they were stupid, you know, certainly set him
They're
apart.
aspirational.
Yeah, now it's like this is really your signature policy, this like taxing tip thing. I hear what you're saying. It's a good thing, but I can see the appeal. But like, I just don't feel like it had.
But
Like
it's also
people are gonna.
it's all victim mentality stuff. They're always being the victim right now. Like they don't know how to attack. Like they don't know how to be the bully anymore.
Right.
And I think this was perfectly exemplified by a certain individual named Nick Fuentes, who has initiated the Groyper War.
Groyper War.
Pick your side, guys. Which side are you on?
The Groypers.
Yeah.
Do we have any of that?
I'm finding the video real quick. I'm finding the video because he
those
actually.
I'll set it up. But
Go ahead.
Like, I mean, Nick Fuentes basically has, you know, leader of the Groypers, a big part of the meme movement of 2016. And I'll be interested to see how much you guys thought that actually helped in 2016. But let's be honest, like there is a new generation of advocates for Trump. And they're all these old fucks, these fucking loser Gen Xers doing Twitter spaces, like these David Sachs and the All In podcast, just like absolute losers. And I think it does kind of go to show where memes have gone and how kind of everyone can meme now. So almost no one can meme, kind of like the Incredibles. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Or we could play.
Well, first off, we have to address the elephant in the room, and that's the fact that they named their organization the Groypers. What the fuck does that mean? It sounds like the kind of thing you would apply to somebody who diddled children. Now, I'm not saying that's an incorrect label for these folks, but boy, adopting it yourself just lets you know what kind of fools we're dealing with here. Who would want to be dubbing themselves the Groypers? Your second question, Gavin and I have talked about a lot on air. Elections are decided by and large part on vibes. And I think that the meme generating capacity of Donald Trump in 2016 generated a huge fervor for him online. And that was what allowed him to stay constantly relevant. And his relevance was crucial to winning. So I would argue that without the support of the right-wing alt-right memers, he wouldn't have even beat Hillary in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, what the meme stuff did, the meme wars in 2016, it helped Trump in that it made being a Republican like kind of cool again. At least it gave that appearance, because the whole Republican brand, I mean, it had never been at a lower place. The Jeb Bushes Jeb Bush was considered the front runner for the Republican Party. That's why people in part thought that Hillary Clinton just had it in the bag, because they were like, well, apparently the Republican Party has nothing to offer. Their autopsy after 2012 didn't, lead to anything other than like people like Marco Rubio and Jeb Bush. So, Hillary's probably going to get this, but the younger people, the online demographic, they did kind of infuse a sense of edginess into the discourse, and specifically because we were coming off of like 8 years of Obama style neoliberalism. A BuzzFeed feminism was in vogue. It was fertile ground, right? It was fertile ground to mock progressives, to act like people like Anita Sarkeesian and shit like that were kind of just representative of what the left was. And obviously the Democratic Party didn't do itself any favors by squishing Bernie Sanders and elevating Hillary Clinton, who perfectly embodied that sort of like Katy Perry girl boss bullshit. So it really was the perfect storm for Donald Trump. And as Nick Fuentes talks about, I'm not sure if it's in this clip or another one that I saw, but he kind of talked about how the Republican Party went from triggering the libs in 2016 to now being triggered by the libs. Now the libs are triggering them.
Because that's all that these people like, these Bill Ackmans and these David Sachs and these new just like surrogates, like the guys left over, is like they're doing these podcasts and they're trying to be like epic online, but it's old and it's fucking dated and it has no teeth. They're not like the original memesters, and the people left doing memes are just like the people that I saw other people's funny memes and are trying to do the same thing. Like they're not posters, they're reply guys who are leading the movement now.
Not true posters, absolutely. But do we want to hear from the head Groyper himself? This guy, He is perpetually like the 12-year-old kid in class that you wanted to push down a flight of stairs.
Yeah. Let's take a look. Nick Fuentes in the house.
On Monday, we're going to be beginning the campaign. Tonight, it's a little more of a casual show. I'm just sort of reacting to some of the reaction, laying out a little bit more of the case now that we know the plan. And Monday, I'll be unveiling the plan. We'll be doing an action. We are going to be on True Social. We're going to be on Twitter. We're going to be creating hashtags. So make sure you have your accounts. We're going to be sending emails. So make sure you have a burner email account. I have the emails of Trump campaign staff. And this is literally just it hasn't even started. Monday is literally the beginning of the beginning. It hasn't even started.
You know that guy that you hear talking at the bar who's constantly planning on starting a business, and he's going to talk to you a lot about his like methods and, you know, his opportunity and the message and what they stand for. And then at the end, you're going to be like, so what's your idea? And he's going to be like, yeah, dude, so we're starting a thing, you know, and it's going to be different. And nobody's really done anything like this. It's going to combine a bunch of industries. And you're just saying words to your audience because you have a pathetic lack of plan. You have absolutely nowhere to go. You were betting so hugely, so tremendously on Donald Trump and the MAGA movement. I mean, the highlight of Nick Fuentes' fucking year.
Was he though? Because wasn't he like on board with the whole Kanye West campaign? Isn't that why he was meeting with Trump?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that after the assassination attempt, this dude was prepared to go all in on JD Vance and Donald Trump. I don't think he was going to.
But after the JD Vance pick, he was like, he has an Indian wife. This is no good.
Oh, yeah. I forgot he's so racist. He can't even get down with a JD Vance.
Well, he's been pretty Trump skeptical, I think.
Yeah, no, he's been very Trump skeptical. And honestly, I think like, you know, I mean, aside from all of his normal base repellent views, his analysis of this current race seems to be pretty on point that, yeah, that Trump is kind of fucked and just seems lame. And it is kind of funny that like on the Democratic side, they have like Pelosi working behind the scenes to like save the election. And they have their own Pelosi right here. This is the Pelosi of the right.
Yeah, let's take a little bit more of this in.
Yeah.
Let's hear some more of his grievances.
Let's hear this plan.
We took over the top 4 hashtags on True Social. We got a spot on MSNBC. Pieces in New Republic and Newsweek. 30,000 mentions on Twitter. It hasn't even started. 8 million views on my tweet declaring the war. It hasn't even started. So Monday, I'm doing the show. We're going.
Still dead naming X, by the way. What is this?
Yeah.
Wow. Fake. That's not right. A true believer. So wait, can you guys explain to me then? I am apparently behind.
You don't watch Nick Fuentes?
Yeah, right. What is the plan for him then in your mind? Obviously, he hasn't unveiled it yet. It's going to be a great plan. It's a tremendous plan. It hasn't even started, he's telling us. But what's the whole idea? Like, if they're not going to go with Donald Trump,
basically
like,
doing organizing canvassing is what he's doing to try to I don't know what the plan is other than like to try to like make Trump not be shell shocked from the assassination attempt and to not be like a huge bitch, which I just don't know is possible. So
do they want him to drop JD because of his Indian wife? Is that what this is about?
I mean, I think they certainly think that's probably would be a start, I guess. But I mean, I don't really know what the end game is here. What do you guys think?
I feel like he is basically jumped off the Trump ship. From what I can tell, I don't know what Trump could really do to win.
So get out now.
Back. Right. So I do feel like, yeah, he kind of is like, all right, this is over. Let's start building the next, phase for this weird online fringe movement that he's part of. Because I think he's smart enough to know that the Trump era is we're in the end zone, guys. Like, we're in the last part of the Trump era.
Rattle.
I mean, barring something crazy, obviously anything can happen, but it does look like the MAGA momentum is totally fizzling out. We even have like state, party people endorsing the Democrats, mayor, governors, and Republican mayors endorsing Kamala. It's like it's kind of over for the whole Trump brand. And as Nick Fuentes, identifies, it's just really lost its edge. It doesn't really have the same vibe. And honestly, the establishment of the Republican Party has kind of just taken over the Republican really taken over the MAGA party. They've just put a bunch of their establishment people in those positions. And Trump's just basically selling off his policies to the highest bidder, as we've seen with Elon Musk and the electric cars and a whole other list of things with Israel and the, what was he saying? He would totally do whatever the Adelsons wanted for a donation. Like, it's so clear there's no actual ideology anymore.
Yeah, I guess you would think that they would be holding on. See, my analysis as somebody who just obviously not a Groyper, fucking hate whatever, right? But if I'm trying to strategize on their behalf, you have to be hanging on to your guy. You have to keep your mascot. They don't have anybody else. I mean, I'm hoping that they'll just be banished back to the rat holes that they come from.
I think he's fine to just be an online
content creator. Leader. I mean, let's think about it.
Leader for incels. Yeah, he knows it's a fringe movement. He knows that the brand isn't going to like expand to the general public. That would totally defeat the purpose. And
that it needs to by necessity outlive Trump if he wants to keep making money past whatever, even if Trump does win this election. But I mean, think about 2016 onwards, how many 2016 Trump acolyte content creators, your Tommy Laurens, like all these people, like most of them faded. Like Nick is one of the only ones that actually like knew how to like hang and stay around, despite being also one of the most banned people because he's a white supremacist Nazi. But like it's kind of crazy to see that he clearly is hedging his bets. And honestly, I think he sees which way the tide's turning on this one.
Yeah. And he is also, like, I unironically just think he's a better content creator, commentator, whatever you want to say, than the vast majority of his right-wing counterparts, Charlie Kirk, Jack Posobiec, all these losers, even Ben Shapiro. Like, whatever you want to say about Nick Fuentes' ideology, it's vile and disgusting and certainly represents the worst aspects of the online GOP. But I do think that part of the reason why he's endured beyond some of the Tommy Lahrens and people like that is because he does have a certain level of charisma that surpasses his peers, which is scary, but worth acknowledging, I think.
Yeah, just imagine if Hitler was like as closeted as Nick. Like, it would have been crazy. Like, he might have been unstoppable.
Yeah, let's more of this.
But okay, we can keep watching it again. I don't know what else he's going to say. Groyper War.
We're going to review the Trump Elon Musk Twitter space, and we're going to be doing an action. We're going to light up True Social with hashtags. We're going to bombard the Trump campaign with emails. I'm going to tell you exactly what to say. We're going to lay out a template. We're going to give guidance on the show of what we're going to do. And we're going to make our voice heard. And we're going to express a mission statement, a plan of action. We're all going to participate and let them know.
It really reminds me
what they're
when you guys were kids, did you ever get all the neighborhood kids together on your bike and play club? You know, it was like, yeah, everybody, we're going to start a clubhouse and, we're going to say a bunch of things and basically pretend to be adults. That's what it seems like. He's got a bunch of guys who are never evolving past puberty. They're like perpetually 12 years old, and they are going to conduct a fantasy that they're being civically engaged towards Nazism. It's just baffling to watch. Pretty crazy.
Dude, the thing is, Groypers now aren't even kids. They are like late 20s people. Like,
but up here they're 12.
Oh yeah, for sure, exactly. And then it's not consensual to have sex with them. That's why they stay virgins, because mentally it's like Poor Things with Emma Stone. Baby brains.
Yeah, Nick Fuentes told me it's actually gay to have sex, so stop being gay.
Nice. But like I don't know if there's any more of this, or if we want to move on, because I know I wanted to check in with you guys about Kamala and where we think Kamala's doing, because it does seem like people can't Camelot, Knights of the Round Table, and it's like it has been quite something to see over the last week or two, and I've heard a lot of people compare the energy around this to Obama, and I see people saying that in a positive way. Which has left me feeling very strange, very odd.
I feel like when people say that, kind of what they're referencing is, I think we're at a similar moment in the country as far as the kind of vibe goes. When Obama was elected and the run up to his election, the crucial part of that context is that it came after 8 long years of George W. Bush. The country had never been more humiliated. It truly felt like, a total dumbass was in charge and he was just, screwing everything up. And I think it kind of feels sort of similar because we've had 4 years of Trump and then 4 years of Biden. And even though they're from different parties, it still just kind of feels like they're both incompetent and neither one of them are really leading the country in the right direction. And Obama, to people at least, did represent hope, change. That's what people thought he was going to represent.
Actually it represented finally a time for people to feel like they could check out of politics. And
that's what ultimately happened
for 8 years, and not a lot else, aside from, I guess, now like pre-existing conditions.
Well, hey, there was a lot of wars we started, Griffin.
Right,
let's not rewrite history. This man was ambitious overseas. You ever heard of Syria?
Like, Obama, this is so hopeful. This is so amazing. And it's like, where the fuck have you guys been? Like that, it just seems.
I mean, I don't know how much organizing and like effective activism has really happened like under Biden as opposed to anyone else. It's not like, oh, now everyone, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like, oh, all the hard work and activism is going to stop if Kamala wins. I think people, if anything, a lot of the excitement, and I'll speak from personal experience too, a lot of my excitement comes from seeing Trumpism finally get kind of like the rejection it really deserves from voters and people just being like, enough with this, let's move on. So even though the bar is low, I do think people are excited by change. They're excited by the feeling of moving forward and just leaving behind this like toxic sort of period in American history that I feel like most people are just ready to move on from. So I think it's more about that than Kamala herself. But, I also think this,
and I think that's fine for the fucking blue MAGA, the people that show up to these rallies, the hogs that are just excited to vote Democrat.
I'm talking about just normies. Trump. That's what
exactly. Like normie people who vote Democrat and don't want to think too much more about it and don't like Trump. Like that makes sense for them. But to like anyone who pays attention to politics and is like feeling like hopeful for like a return to the Obama era and seeming to sort of like join the cheerleading seems to me to be just like really misplaced in this moment, because there is a lot of stuff that we could do to keep pressuring this administration that seems very likely to win. It seems very likely that they don't need our help. Like they seem like they have the wind in their sails. So it seems like if you do care about pressuring them and extracting things from them, then this whole like joyful warriors, I'm so happy. Like I get it. There is a toxin that Obama released that made people feel euphoric. It's like the Joker's laughing gas. And I feel like it's infected a lot of people. And I'm a little surprised. And I got to say, it has felt a little isolating over the last couple of weeks.
Well, here, let me respond to that, Griffin, because I think a lot of what it is that you're coming at this from a perspective of somebody who looks at politics on the day-to-day at a granular level every single day. And I think what we have to do as people who do that is figure out a way to harness the joy that people are experiencing, to harness that, endorphin release that you were just referencing, that excitement, because we can't build a wide-based movement by extinguishing that joy. You know what I'm saying? And obviously nobody wants to see us go back to the, standing by idly of Obama. I mean, I can't speak directly. That happened when I was in 7th grade. You know what I mean? I think Obama got elected when I was in 5th grade. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of people, Salisa pointed it out in the chat. She was like, none of us got to feel that excitement. None of us got to feel, the rise and the hope and what it feels like to extinguish a horrible movement like the MAGA movement. So I think what we really need to do is bring a fuckload of people to Chicago to protest. I think we want to say, hey, you want to be civically engaged? Then let's show up and show out and let's build a sustained pressure campaign, right? Because it's not going to do us any good to be like, hey, dude, fuck you for being excited that Donald Trump isn't going to be president. It's like, I'm excited Donald Trump's not going to be president too.
I'm not saying fuck you. I'm saying I understand there's people at the rallies are going to clap and be so excited, and normie Democrats are going to be so excited. But like, if you want to like pressure the Democratic Party into doing anything, then I think that the attitude has to be like a lot more confrontational in terms of these issues that we care about. Because if you see, even with this like thing, oh, well, let's harness the joy. When the Palestine protesters come to these rallies, it is just as like violent as protesters at Trump rallies. Like they are fuming and seething at these fucking Muslim people for protesting a genocide. They do not care about the issues. They don't care about Israel or Palestine. They don't care about the bodies. And they just want to feel good again and check out of politics. And that's totally fine for them to do.
I mean,
but
I
if
think
you
that's
care
a little
about this
unfair
issue,
I mean, I'm not excusing the people if they're like behaving that way towards protesters. That's disgusting. I'm not even familiar with that specifically. Obviously, fuck that.
it's
But
happened at
I
3
think
rallies so far.
I'm not
People
I'm not
protest
denying
and
that at
everyone's
all.
like, fuck you. And the
No,
people
I'm not
getting
denying
shoved.
that. But
Yeah.
when it comes to your average person that's there, I do think like showing up to a rally, even if you're not like a policy wonk, just to be like, yeah, I want to reject like Christian nationalism. I want to like reject like an assault on reproductive rights. Just like
people are gonna
just
boo you.
basic things. I think that like that's not a totally just like I don't think you can totally divorce policy from that and be like these people don't care at all about policy. Like clearly they are there because they think Kamala is going to represent a step forward as far as like those kind of issues go.
As what?
And
immigration? Going to the right on immigration? Not giving a fuck about politics? It's like we by not pressuring her, we are allowing them to do whatever the fuck they want.
I'm not saying don't pressure her. I think those protesters at the rally are more of patriots than the people that are just there to clap for sure.
100%.
But I'm just saying, like, if you're showing up to a political rally because you care about reversing some of the despicable fucking regressions that have happened under the Trump administration, and I don't think that just makes you like a clapping seal or whatever. Like I think that a lot of people are excited about a new era for this country
and stuff like that. 100%.
And also, I think that under Joe Biden, like everyone just checked out, man. It was so depressing. Like everyone just stopped caring about politics. I mean, besides specific issues, obviously we saw a robust protest movement for Palestine, but like it just became really depressing. All the energy around a lot of progressive movements and issues just seemingly dissipated and died because no one was excited about Biden. No one was excited about the Biden era. At least we can harness, like Zach said, at least we can try to harness as a progressive left some of this energy into another serious progressive movement. And I think that Kamala picking Tim Walz is something to be excited about, something to be optimistic about. I was prepared for a spit in the face, a Josh Shapiro pick. I think that I don't think we can just beat
at least Josh Shapiro served in the army. He fought in battle, Josh Shapiro. Okay. Stolen valor. Tim Walz didn't go to Iraq. Tim Walz could have gone to Afghanistan and Iraq. He could have kidnapped kids, sold them into the sex trade like all the other soldiers happening in Afghanistan, but he didn't. He decided to stay home. Listen, I'm not yelling at you guys, Zach. I'll let you finish in a second. And I'm not mad at people who are there for an issue like abortion or something like that, and like serious organizers that feel like that issue for them is their chance or whatever. I'm just saying that I'm not feeling joy right now in a moment where we're not pressuring the candidate that's clearly going to win on anything, and we're just all clapping and hoping. Like the perfect example is like she gave these Palestine protest responses 2 nights back to back. And you've seen both of them, right? We don't have to play them. But you've seen both of them, right? So the first one was basically, she was like, go fuck yourself, kill yourself, eat my dick, kill yourself was the first one. And then the second one was like, okay, I'm not going to tell them to eat my whole dick. Let's pause and address the elephant in the room.
She did kind of have a southern accent going on in that one.
And then that's how I'm kind of hedging my impression with Kamala, because if she's going to be there for 4 years, we're going to have to find the right way to do it. That's my rough draft.
He's not going full RFK, but
so what I'm saying though, on the second time, she goes, oh, I'm going to respond to the protesters. And she says the exact same fucking thing that Biden has been saying for the last 10 months. And what was the big thing that everyone was saying? Oh my gosh, this is so much better. She did so much better this second time. Repeating the exact same position that's been the administration that's killed 100,000 fucking Palestinians.
You're coming at it from a different perspective.
Total bullshit. No, it's total bullshit. It's total bullshit. People are treating it with baby gloves, and that's not how you treat politicians. Things are not given; they're extracted from politicians.
Well, yeah,
and
100%.
How we should be treating her as well.
For sure. But just to give people their fair due, a lot of people who work in the business that we do, we're like fucking horse race analysis. I'm sorry, but I'm not, the Democrats and the Republicans, one of them's going to fucking win. And so we do a little bit of sports gambling on it, right? And so you could say, oh yeah, that's a lot better. It's because it's a lot better at reaching swing voters. It's a lot better politics, right? Yeah. From my West Wing Joshua Lyman fucking sports hat on, like, yeah, it looks a lot better. And my position on Kamala is this, right? Like fucking swallowed a huge dick pill and fucking, not literally, but I voted for Hillary Clinton, right? Because I was like terrified of Donald Trump. When I was 18 years old, it was the first election I was ever going to get to vote in, right? I was a huge Bernie bro in high school, but I sucked it up and I voted for Hillary Clinton, right? I sucked it up and voted for Joe Biden too. This time, I feel like the least compelled to vote for Kamala Harris at all. I mean, my feelings about the Electoral College, all these kinds of things. Like, I don't even know if I'll fucking vote for her. I live in Missouri. Might as well set my vote for president on fire. But what I've been telling myself and what I've been telling the audience is that you kind of have to treat her like an LBJ figure, right? LBJ was a fucking racist. LBJ sucked. There was nothing good about LBJ. He had dog shit fucking foreign policy, but because of the mass mobilization of people in the streets of America, he passed one of the most historic pieces of legislation, the Civil Rights Act. And I think that's how you have to approach Kamala Harris.
That didn't happen by like fucking treating her like a baby that we're airplaning applesauce into her mouth. Like, it's bullshit. It's babies fucking taking care of babies with this shit. It is ridiculous. The tone.
I don't know how
people have been treating with her on this stuff. I think it's totally ridiculous.
Certainly, some people. I think if people were just like, yeah, I'm glad she adjusted her freaking tone when talking to protesters and seemingly listened to the criticism. I don't think it's like a bad thing to be like, yay, she listened. Like, who cares? I mean, if people are going over the top and obviously cringy, like, blue MAGA people are going to be cringy blue MAGA people. I'm not denying that. And obviously politician worship, it always gets out of hand. It even happens like it happened with Bernie on the left, like people acting like
it's happening to me right now. K-Hive. I got the pin right here, folks. Okay.
Yeah. I think people they like to get excited about things. I like to get excited about things.
But
people
why? You're smarter than that. And the problem is like, that's what happened with Obama. We got excited about him. And we didn't hold a lens to him at all.
No,
and guess what?
No.
It's just not a close race anymore, in my opinion.
Who's not holding a lens? Who's not holding a lens? I mean, like Zach said, we're freaking political commentators.
I'm not yelling at you guys. I'm saying just like the general tone and context with how people are receiving her comments.
I think the way to do that is to be strategic, man. You can't be like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You need to be more serious. It's like, no, what we've been trying to do and how we've been trying to thread this needle is by saying, guys, like, we are, we'll make all the Waltz memes. We'll talk about how we're pilled. We'll talk about how her immigration plan is like Mitt Romney in 2012, but worse. You know what I mean? That horrible fucking dog shit ad that she put out. But the reality is that we all need to show up in droves in Chicago and set a standard for the Democratic Party outside the DNC. There has to be a fuckload of people there protesting, demanding one thing, a ceasefire. That's what I'm encouraged about. I think when everybody goes there and we see how many people agree with us and they see that it's a selfish decision to make, that a ceasefire, an arms embargo, if siding with the International Court of Justice, these things are actually above water positions. They're selfish positions. I think the Kamala that picked Tim Walz, if she sees a huge fucking sea of people in Chicago, guys, I want to see as many people that there was when the Cubbies won the World Series in 2016, right? I want to see, or 2017 or whatever the fuck that was. You know what I'm saying? I want to see an ocean of people outside of there, because then it will be clear who is with us and who is with them. But I think you get people's excitement that, hey, we have a shot, and not just a guy with half a can of Campbell's soup for brains. So people were like, yeah, we protested for 10 months. They didn't listen to us. And then you have a George Floyd situation where you mobilize so many people in summer of 2020, right? But then we never even passed the George Floyd Act. I think what we have to do is capitalize on people's momentum, capitalize on people's attention, and, figure out a way to sustain it this time by making it. I'm
saying
not a pain in the ass.
But guess what? My big point is, at the DNC, we will be protesting. Circle Jerk 100%. America, recording live on DNC.
Please fire.
But the people that are the joy warriors will be inside the event. The people protesting the genocide will be outside the event. And they are two different groups of people. And so far, they are at conflict, because the group inside the event does not give a shit about this genocide and is willing to vote for Kamala because they do not want a return of the Trump era. That's all they.
Well, that's why you have to make it a threat to them. That's why you have to say, do you want Trump to get reelected? That's why you
I'm just saying they're two different groups. I'm saying they're actually two different groups. They're two different. They're two
Well,
different groups of people. Is what I'm trying to say.
I mean, yeah, I think
that
that
is undeniable.
a reality is, and one of the things we've been talking about a lot on this show is that since the Republicans are running since a dog shit, inexcusable, worst of all time campaign, it is going to be really hard to negotiate with Kamala because she's not going to feel like she owes the left fucking anything. She's going to feel like she sailed in on right-wing rhetoric with endorsements from mayors in Arizona. You know what I mean? She's looking at polling that shows her up in North Carolina. She's trying to figure out what's going to be her Obama, Indiana.
This was the party of dreamers, and now no one's even gives a shit about the immigration thing. Like how many?
I give a shit about the immigration thing,
but the people inside don't, and we're like, no, like we can harness them. These people that don't care about anything. Like, I don't think we can harness those people.
Also,
no,
like, well, I mean, how is that any different than it's always been? Like, yeah, obviously the people inside the DNC, the ones freaking that are literally part of the establishment elite. Yeah, obviously that's.
I'm talking about the Bernie Sanders voters who ended up supporting Joe Biden because they felt like it was the right thing to do. Those are our people that we could bring back.
Yeah, and I think that most of the people, like even just average normie folks that are excited about Kamala Harris for whatever reason, even if it's abortion, even if it's just because it represents the end of Donald Trump. Like from my personal anecdotal experience, most of those voters are to the left of the Democratic Party. They don't approve of what's happening in Palestine. They don't approve of the genocide, but they also know that both parties are they both represent basically the same thing when it comes to that. It's not like Donald Trump represents peace. If anything, he represents a far more genocidal position than even the Kamala Walz administration would. So like I don't think that a lot of these voters approve of the foreign policy. Most Democrats I know even vote blue no matter who people. They are to the left of the Democratic Party.
Yeah, and a majority of Democrats, like I do actually think that there's like a genocide going on or whatever like that. Yeah, they do.
It's above water. And I think that's why our unified front has to be Kamala. Do you want Donald Trump to get back into the White House? No. Then we have to recognize international law. We can flip.
Well, I'm glad we decided that. I'm glad us three decided that. That's great.
You know what?
I wasn't yelling at you guys. I was yelling at people online. And someone in the chat says, I would be inside the auditorium. I support Palestine and Gaza. How do you think Palestinians will fare if Trump wins? To where I ask, could it get any worse at this point? Like, they have given an unchecked ability to slaughter these people. Literally, there's no way it could get worse besides dropping a fucking nuclear bomb on these people.
I think what Donald Trump, you want to know what I think Donald Trump would do? I think that Donald Trump would
build more hotels.
I think he would immediately clear the way for resettlement through all of North Gaza.
But that's going to happen, dude. There's nothing left. They have destroyed these people, and all that's left is rubble. Like there are fucking systemic fucking rape
like
camps.
what do you do, Griffin? Like, I mean, I agree that
no. I'm just responding to the chatter who says, "Oh, it's going to be worse with Trump." I disagree. I think it's about as bad as it can get with that issue.
Okay, we'll say I agree that it's not a good situation under the Democrats, obviously, but in lieu of a mass protest movement, the likes of which Zach described, I mean, obviously, like Trump is, you acknowledge that Trump would be worse. He's literally said he would allow the Israeli government to annex the West Bank and resettle it. He would probably,
but isn't that what's happening? Isn't that happening right now?
I think there is reason to believe, as made by the people from the Ceasefire Now movement. I mean, there's a lot of serious individuals. What's that guy's name? Waleed. He worked for AOC and he worked for Justice Democrats. He's leading the Uncommitted movement, and they've laid it out pretty.
Yeah, I'm all for that, and I do think that Kamala would be better. But like what's currently happening with the Biden administration is basically as bad as anything that Trump would do, and that's what I'm responding to the chat.
Well, yeah, I think obviously that's why people are excited about Kamala, though, Griffin, is that anything is a reprieve. And you could be like, that's inadequate. But if you've got a fucking gun to your head, you're going to just really, you know what I'm saying? Like, and these people are suffering so badly. It's tough, right? Like, I don't think there is a good solution other than, mass mobilization and pressure campaign on the Democratic Party.
And I'm not arguing with any of that. I'm responding to the comment and simply saying that there's like, oh, you think Trump will be better on it? And I just want the record to be clear that the Democrats did this. The Democrats did this. This is their blood on their fucking hands. And any attempt to be like, oh, Trump would have made it worse over the last 4 years is bullshit. Like, this has been carnage unchecked on the modern scale. And Democrats they have to own that. They did this.
I totally agree with that. And I think that, yeah, I mean, 100%. I think a lot of the enthusiasm, like Zach said, is just the fact that Kamala is not Genocide Joe. There's at least a chance she could take a different approach. It's possible she just rehires freaking Anthony Blinken and all these other people and keeps the machine rolling. That is definitely the possibility. But I also do think it's true that Kamala is a little bit more thin-skinned. She's more online than Joe Biden, and if she is literally being called like genocide Kamala or whatever, and that starts to stick and people really start to, start blaming, like even people say, going back to the LBJ thing, people said that the LBJ, how many kids did you kill today? People say that actually really got to him, that actually fucking haunted him and was like, he hated hearing that and it made him feel like, he was guilty. Obviously,
that's what I'm asking for. I'm not, and I don't think that's the energy right now.
Oh, well, I think that's because the campaign is currently going on. It's an election season. People are just like getting excited about the horse race stuff. Like I said, I'm getting excited about the horse race stuff. I live for this shit. That doesn't mean that once Kamala is president, there won't be a sustained and serious protest movement that I think we'll all be a part of. I think that's the case for sure.
And the chat says I'm doomer. I'm not doomer. I have my K-Hive pin and I go to lots of protests. And I've been documenting a lot of the war, so I'm not doomer coded. I've seen the absolute worst shit in my life, and I don't want the Democrats to be able to like slink this one off. They fucking did this, and I'm glad that we'll all be at the DNC protesting. So I think we're in agreement.
I think we actually do completely agree, but I'm glad that Griffin came on here to give the counterpoint because it is true that this is a Democrat orchestrated crime against humanity. This is Democrat sustained. And, Joe Biden will have this as the forefront of his legacy so much so that I don't think anything even coming close. Pulling out of Afghanistan will be a footnote in comparison to this if we have our way, if history is just. And the only way to do that is a sustained mass mobilization movement. And the thing that we have on our side is that people have seen a lot, not enough, but a lot of what you've seen, Griffin. And I think that that's why 48% of Americans think that we should call for a ceasefire. And that's above water because a lot of people will say they're not sure. They're not familiar with the situation, right? It's a lot of people are afraid of being labeled like anti-Semitic or not, all of those things. Even in spite of all that, we've gotten 48% of the American voting public that says we want a ceasefire right now. We need to hold on to that and make it bigger and make it a threat to Kamala Harris that she can't win without us. Right now, I'm worried that that's not the case. So I don't want to come out here and be like, she can't win without us. Like she might be able to. That's why we need to, show up and show out and make her feel afraid.
Yeah. I also think it's kind of one of those issues. And I know it sounds like kind of cold and, cynical, like not the most emotional analysis or whatever, but I do think that this foreign policy issue is kind of becoming similar to like the climate change issue as far as American voters actually think about it, and that they sort of realize that no matter who they vote for, Democrat or Republican, it's not really going to change. Like, if you elect a Democrat, they're going to be marginally better on climate, but they're not going to freaking stop the oil industry. They're not going to like sanction the oil industry or whatever you want them to. In the same way, if you vote for a Democrat, they're not going to be, they might be marginally better on foreign policy, but they're not really going to end the freaking military industrial complex. I think most people do vote on the issues that they actually think one party or another is going to be significantly different on. And that the Overton window has kind of just narrowed to issues like abortion and now like, Christian nationalist overreach and weird like
trans healthcare.
The Democrats have obscured it to seem as complicated and as impossible to fix as climate change. But Ronald Reagan picked up the fucking phone as a Republican and ended that shit overnight. And that is as simple as it could be right now. Yeah. And the Democrats
have fire the airline workers. No,
I am. I'm on fire the airlines. No more planes.
Air traffic controllers, get out of here.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, Griffin. I'm just saying that again, give credit to the average voter.
Change. You could pick up a phone and you could make the call and things could be different. And many presidents have in the past, Democrat and Republican. So yeah, I mean, it's like one thing for 50% of Democrats in a poll to say they think it's genocide or something like that. But like, is that going to be enough to push the issue? We'll see.
Let's see. Do you guys want to take a look at this JD Vance interview before we wrap up?
Yeah, let's do something fun.
Yeah. He responded to some of the weird attacks, as you guys know, been quite an effective label on the Vance aspect of the Trump ticket specifically. Here, JD is on CNN.
I analysis that
What an ugly son of a bitch.
What is
saw my wife
scary?
and gave her a big hug and a kiss because I love my wife and I think that's what a normal person does. Tim Walz gave his wife a nice, firm Midwestern handshake and then tried to sort of awkwardly correct for it. So I
JD
think
Vance
what it
never
is
seen anybody get
two
dabbed up
people,
in their
Kamala
life.
Harris and Tim Walz, who aren't comfortable in their own skin because they aren't comfortable with their policy positions for the American people. And so they're
Let's
name
hope.
calling instead of actually telling the American people how they're going to make their lives better. I think that's weird, Dana, but look, they can call me whatever they want to.
You're saying Tim Walz doesn't have affection for his wife? I don't even understand that.
I said that he acted weird, which he did on a national stage in front of his wife and in front of millions of Americans. I just
She humiliates him. You're like, bro, what the hell are you trying to say? Like, that's one thing that even I think, unless you're Donald Trump, right? Even in the Republican Party, it's like, dude, you're gonna make fun of a man's wife? Are you freaking kidding me? Like, it's almost like
Well, that's
going
what Trump
after a
did, but
man's
he doesn't have the
military
riz.
record.
He doesn't have the swag. He doesn't, because
That's
Trump
what I mean.
did it and
Unless you're
crushed
Donald
it.
Trump.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
that's because, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and like I said on the show, it's the same with the stolen valor attack. Like, it would be one thing if John McCain was the top of the ticket that JD Vance was a part of, but you're on the ticket with Donald Trump. You're going to talk about name calling. You're going to sit over here and throw a bunch about name calling and draft dodging when you're on the ticket with Donald Trump, the biggest name caller and the most infamous draft dodger.
Just imagine how much better it would be if he picked Byron Donalds right now. Like, how much more swag it would be. He would be positive. Byron Donalds would be optimistic.
So true.
It would be such a different vibe. It'd be a hype man. JD Vance, like, Trump is a crybaby, and then he found an even bigger crybaby. Like, this guy looks physically like he's crying. He looks like he's getting kidnapped by the Pennywise the Clown. He's like a 9-year-old that got like dragged into the sewers. Like, he just looks upset. He's unsettling. He sends a chill down my spine. And yeah, I just like, it is really incredible just how unnerving he is.
Yeah. Also, Griffin, the people are demanding, they want to hear your final thoughts on the Rogan Netflix special. It's kind of like when, you don't get cast in the school play. So your dad buys you, an entire school play. Like, Rogan is a horrible fucking comedian. He would never be landing Netflix specials, but his podcast is so big. He could just kind of, oh yeah, sure.
You didn't think that new Netflix
That's every
special was
comedian
funny?
now. Every
guys didn't
comedian
think
is
that was
only
funny?
successful because they're probably. I didn't watch it. Did you watch the Rogan one? What is he like? Oh, I say
Yeah.
I say the F word. I say the C word. I say the B word.
Zach's just too triggered to admit it was hilarious.
Here's the thing.
I would rather
it's
watch
like,
Brendan Schaub
I'm
do
just
stand
kidding,
up.
obviously. No, it was terrible. It was
most
worse than you
most
could ever
stand-up
imagine.
is bad, but most stand-up audiences are bad too. We don't talk enough about the audiences. The audiences, that's what they want. That's what they like. That's why Kill Tony is so big. Kill Tony.
Bro,
The
Kill
comedians are
Tony
evil,
should be
but the
called
audience
Kill
is evil
Myself
too.
because that's what I want to do every time I tune in.
I think it needs to be changed to Unalive Tony. Yeah. With stand-up stuff, it's like most stand-up is bad. On the woke side, on the anti-woke side, like there's only like probably like less than 10 like living stand-ups that are really, really good, like at any given time. I will say though that like I do not care for the camaraderie around the left that's like always shitting on stand-ups. And then when you ask what their favorite stand-up is, it's like, Carlin. It's like, fuck you, bro. Like, go fuck. You're not a real comedian watcher. You saw a fucking clip on Twitter in between the rest of your fucking rose emoji posts. Hey, DSA paying member here. I can say that. And you are not a stand-up comedian appreciator either. And
you didn't know Stabby before Come Town.
Yeah. Well, I don't
Can
think
you even name 5 stand-up
no
specials?
one did. I'm just saying, like,
Can you name
almost
5 stand-up specials?
Almost no one is coming at any of these specials in good faith or as a comedian appreciator. It's like,
I mean, that's true, but if you hear a bad joke, it's still a bad joke. Like if you're just scrolling a timeline and you see Roseanne Barr like just fucking flopping, then you can still be like, this is trash. Like
100%.
Republicans are fucking morons. Like, I mean, I know what you're saying though.
I'm just taking a different angle, maybe an angle people haven't heard before, but it does irk me to see people be like, I know what stand-up is. Carlin is the GOAT. Fuck. Yes.
Okay.
Obviously
Who's your living?
That's like being like, I'm sorry, but it's like,
Wait,
you have
Griffin,
to
who's your
be able to
go-to
name
living legend
someone
comedian?
other
Who's your go-to living legend comedian?
Pee Wee fucking Herman, suck my dick, okay? He was framed for that movie theater shit, okay?
That was
framed.
BS.
And if you do Pee Wee's Playhouse for that many seasons, you can jerk off in any theater in the country, okay?
It was a porno theater. What are you supposed to do in there?
And I'm upping the ante.
Literally.
I'm saying any theater. I'm saying you could fucking a Bug's Life screening. I don't give a shit. You're Pee Wee Herman. Is that doomer chat? Is that doomer to say? I'm not a doomer. You guys are on your computers, okay? I'm out in the streets. I'm yelling at police. I'm screaming at police every day. When was the last time you screamed at a cop, chat? Seriously, when is the last time you looked at one of these fucking fat pigs and screamed at them? I don't think you ever have. Any of you screamed at a cop before? You're too busy watching Carlin. Too busy like, this is insightful and funny. This really gets at the whole thing. Wait, oh my God, wow. Hey, like politics is a big game and I guess we're not in it. That's a real fucking knee slapper. Go fuck yourselves. Watch some comedy specials. I'm done.
Circle Jerk America.
We're
getting done. This is it. That's the wrap. We still have some super chats to get to, but Griffin's had his walk-off moment, everybody. I think we're going to cut the episode there.